Coming up on Hoosier Sports Nite, Indiana Volleyball got back in the win column. We'll give you the details on the big home win.
And men's soccer traveled up to Northwestern. We'll give you the recap of the key conference matchup. This is Hoosier Sports Nite.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Nite. I'm Zeke Shapiro.
And I'm Natalie Millar.
Natalie, obviously some big names lost in Indiana basketball on both ends, but then again, some big names returning, big players coming in. How do you feel about the men's and women's seasons coming in?
I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And speaking of basketball, the Indiana men's and women's basketball teams made their grand entrance to the season last week in the annual Hoosier Hysteria. It has been a busy offseason for both rosters as the men marched the recruiting trail and the women took a team trip to Greece. Fans got a first look at newcomers like Gabe Cupps, Lene Beaumont, and favorites Xavier Johnson and Mackenzie Holmes. Anthony Leal stole the show in the skills competition, nailing a half-court shot to bring him to victory. Both teams' three-point stars came to play in the three-point contest. Gabe Cupps and Yarden Garzon shooting 19 for 25 in 1 minute. The teams begin non-conference play on Sunday against Indianapolis and the women's team on Wednesday versus Northwood.
On Saturday, the Indiana football team returned to Bloomington for homecoming after a few weeks on the road to try to get back in the win column against Rutgers. Our Ben Haller has more.
Those are just a few negative things Indiana fans had to say to Tom Allen and the Hoosiers after their 20th Big Ten loss in the last 3 seasons, this time 31-14 at home to Rutgers and giving up 276 yards on the ground.
Not a good situation to be in, not a good place to be, without question. So, but it falls on me. I'm the one in charge, and I'm the one responsible. So, this is on me. You know, that didn't do a good enough job on first downs. Got too many third and shorts. That big quarterback run game that we knew they would do, and yeah, just frustrating.
You know, they're a heavy run team, obviously. You know, defense was on the field a long time, but you know, I think we just got to lock in on the details, and you know, everyone's just got to do their job.
A lot of excitement coming into the Week 8 homecoming game against a 5-win Rutgers team just needing one more win to be bowl eligible, and a solid offensive and defensive first half, but a few costly special teams mistakes put the Hoosiers down 3 at halftime.
You know, based on what they were showing, and we have a whole check system, you know, and so we were just going through our checks, and so when they line up a certain way, we leave ourselves enough time on the play clock to do that, and but they out-execute us in that regard. Yeah.
There were some bright spots for Indiana offensively, specifically in the first half after naming Brendan Sorsby starting quarterback over Taven Jackson for just his second start of the season, picking up a passing and rushing touchdown and adding 176 yards of total offense for the redshirt freshman quarterback.
From the get-go today, I felt pretty good. The O-line protected really well. Missed a couple throws that I'm going to want back, but overall, I mean, I felt like the offense executed just a couple miscues that stalled some drives. So,
with that loss, the Hoosiers fall to 2-5, just 2 losses away from being eliminated from bowl game eligibility before a tough test in State College against Penn State. It has Indiana fans wondering what Tom Allen and the Hoosiers can do to restore some faith in the program. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Ben Haller.
The Hoosiers have their toughest task on the remaining schedule next week when they travel to Penn State.
This past Saturday, Indiana Volleyball took on Ohio State at home after a tough loss at Purdue last week. This 3-hour match was anything but predictable. I have the recap. Indiana Hoosiers survived this 3-hour match against Ohio State Saturday night at Wilkinson Hall.
I think we needed to stay tighter as a group. I think we were very individual the first set, so just staying tighter together and playing our game.
Yep, sticking to the game plan was probably the main thing that we talked about.
I didn't think we were great start to finish. I thought we were kind of in the mud a little bit. I don't think it's the hangover from the Purdue thing. I didn't love how we served and passed. A lot of that is on Ohio State for being really good. And I think sometimes, whether we win or lose, at the end of the day, I thought they served and passed better than we did.
Despite Ohio State's losing record, they took the Indiana Hoosiers to 5 sets.
Ohio State is a heck of a lot better than their record. I think everyone understands that. They've got some huge wins early in the season. It just kind of shows you how hard the conference is.
Despite the tough match, freshman libero Ramsey Gary had a career high of digging 26 balls. Kaylee Ramelsberg led the Hoosiers in 15 kills and Cameron Hayworth in aces and assists.
I thought we fought hard. I think a lot of plays went their way, but I think we fought hard, and then we came back to the fifth set and was putting the ball away.
You know, I thought Avery Tatum was good late. I thought Kaylee had a huge kill, and then Cam's Cam. I mean, that last set to Avery was stuff that you don't draw up. That's not coaching, that's just special.
The Hoosiers close out this match with the score of 3-2, making their record 16-7 overall. Indiana Volleyball now makes this their 8th win out of 9 home games. We'll see what they do when they're back at Wilkinson Hall on November 10th.
In the final week of the regular season for women's soccer, Indiana took a trip out east to close out their historic season. Their first matchup was against the undefeated number 4 Penn State Nittany Lions. IU would be handed their second loss of the season by Penn State in a 2-0 defeat. Indiana then went out to College Park, Maryland to end the regular season against the Terrapins. In the process of winning 2-0 over Maryland, IU set a single-season program record with 10 shutouts and clinched the 5th seed in the Big Ten tournament. The Hoosiers will get a rematch in State College with the Nittany Lions for the first round of the Big Ten tournament on Sunday, the 29th.
The field hockey team fell short this weekend against number 4 Rutgers and number 9 Maryland. The team traveled to New Jersey on Friday to face the Scarlet Knights. Sophomore Kylie Dawson scored her first goal of her collegiate career in her home state, tie the game to 2-2. The Hoosiers held the strong going into the fourth quarter until Rutgers clinched the win on a penalty score, winning 4-2. On Sunday, the girls battled the Terrapins in an intense game. Indiana dominated in the second quarter but failed to execute their shots, allowing Maryland to stay ahead, losing 2-1. This weekend, the team has their last 2 games of the season at home against Penn State and Kent State.
Coming up after the break, we crown this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And we preview the weekend in Hoosier sports with the Candy Stripe calendar. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is IUSTV sports reporter Chase Satsky. Chase?
Thanks, guys. Indiana's men's soccer team is making a push for another Big Ten title, and a big reason for their success this year is our Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week, star freshman defender Alex Barger. The Hoosiers won at Maryland 2-1 last week, and Barger was a big reason why, as in the 54th minute, Barger leaped high in the air to header in the opening goal. It was his first collegiate goal for the freshman from Naperville, Illinois. Barger's the only player on the back line to start every game this season for Indiana, and he's only a freshman. For sure, this rising star will continue to make a big difference for the Hoosiers in the coming years. Alex Barger, this week's Athlete of the Week. Back to you guys at the desk.
The Indiana men's golf team traveled to Muncie for the Cardinal Invitation this past Monday. Freshman Nick Pison collected his first ever collegiate victory in his only 4th event, shooting 6 under par. He dominated the 2-round event, outshooting the runner-up by 3 strokes. 5th-year senior Eric Burgeon shot him over par, leaving him tied for 6th. Junior Kieran Hogwarth notched 7 birdies over 36 holes on his way to shooting 4 over par and finishing in 11th. Freshman Neri Shikuchi finished in 11th place after he shot 11 over par. The Hoosiers will travel to Loxley, Alabama on Saturday for the final fall team event.
On Tuesday, the Indiana men's soccer team traveled up to the Windy City to take on Northwestern, looking to solidify their chances to win the Big Ten title. Our Josh Pose has the recap.
After a big road win in College Park, Maryland last Friday night, Indiana men's soccer was back in action, controlling their own destiny as they headed to Evanston, Illinois to take on the Northwestern Wildcats.
Weren't good enough in the final third. 21 shots, enough to get a goal.
Indiana dominated play in the first half, but it was Northwestern who got on the board in the first 45, scoring a goal in the 25th minute off a windy throw-in that found a head and into the back of the net to give the Wildcats a 1-0 advantage. Indiana had multiple chances in the final quarter hour of the first half, but squandered all of those, trailing at the break 1-0. And in the second half, Indiana remained dominant in the attacking third, but were unable to find any goals after 13 shots, a lot of which were blocked by the Northwestern defense. The Hoosiers had multiple chances to find the equalizer in the waning moments of the match, but they were unable to find the back of the net, ultimately leading to a 1-0 defeat.
That looked like the first half of the season, where balls are sitting around the box and just one of those goes through the deflection, maybe a foul. I'd have to look back at the game, but way too many good opportunities not to get one today.
The Hoosiers return back to Bill Armstrong Stadium on Friday as they will take on Division III Trine before a big matchup on Sunday against Rutgers. From the Windy City behind me, I'm Josh Pose, IUSTV Sports.
The Hoosiers now are 4th in the Big Ten standings and need to win this Sunday against Rutgers to be a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Joining us now in studio with the Candy Stripe Calendar Report is IUSTV sports reporter Ashton Rohrbacher. Ashton?
Thanks, Zeke. Hoosier fans, get ready for a spooky weekend ahead. To kick off Halloween weekend, the men's soccer team will stay home to compete against the Stormy White Tigers of Trine University at 6:30 p.m. On Saturday, the football team will travel to Penn State to take on the Nittany Lions of kickoff time at noon. On Sunday, it's a busy schedule, starting with the field hockey team staying home to take on the Golden Eagles of Kent State at noon for their senior day. The men's soccer team will also compete from home against the Scarlet Knight Rutgers at 12:30. The men's basketball team will open up their preseason exhibitions against the Indianapolis Greyhounds at 1. To finish up Sunday, the women's volleyball team will travel to Evanston, Illinois to take on the Wildcats at 2. That's all for Hoosier Athletics. Happy Halloween, and back to you guys.
Thanks, Ashton. And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports to keep up with all the latest in IU athletics. For our production crew behind us, I'm Natalie Millar.
And I'm Zeke Shapiro. We'll see you next week.